I am now going to show you how I make one of these, what we call a cup flower. This is always in most of the scrolls. Again, it's one of these ancient motifs that you'll find in scroll work. It's one of these motifs that fit just right in with scrolls in awkward spots sometimes, you know, between the scrolls themselves or entwining in the scroll. But I'll just carry on and show you. Now this is the first step really. I'm going and reiterating the S shape. This is the S. It's inverted S this side here. You see it goes the other way. So you make that. So you're making an urn virtually. You're making a flower pot. You're going to put your flowers in there, of course. So this is what it's like. It's a V shape, not angular like a Roman V, but it has the U shape to this. So now what I'm doing to show you, this here is the first stage here, which is helpful because I'm putting a square at this angle, but while you're looking at it, it's a diamond shape, but not a pure diamond because it's square. Then I quarter it. See, I quarter it like this, just to give you an example how we can go on from there. So then when we quartered it, this is the, so that would have been there. You see this is a square. I would then, this is just for you, I can draw it freehand, but just to give you an example of how you can make this. So if you cut little chunks out of this, shall we say, like that, see the little V cuts on this square. See, there's another little V cut there, but look, it's made a leaf. Now you don't stick to this, it's just to give you the indication where it's going, see. So there's another V cut, so you chopped it out. So it's like taking a pair of scissors and cutting a piece of cardboard or board, and then you're making this shape. That's a good practice really. Just get a piece of square cardboard and draw this and chop it out. You could use it as a template really, you know, for other things. So here we go again. You see there's that there, and we've got this V. So everything is this here. Yeah? So now this is all squared off. Now this is the other stage. Now we've got it all like so. These then will be rounded off like these, you see. So now there's your little V cuts in there. You can overlap that to make it a little bit, you know, don't stick to the rigid edge. You can make these, but you see that there? There's my fish hook. My fish hooks. My fish hook. Here it comes again. It meets there. So all these here, see, 1, 2, they're all the same distance apart here. Here. There. This is a simplified one. We can make it very complex with all these things, but so I'm showing you this. There you go again. You see the fish hook. Then we're going to do another fish hook, but we can make it come this way if you just like a little on the end. But you notice then, because that is the first sort of cut I would have done, or you would have done, if you were tracing it. But when you trace it, you keep this mono line, you see. But when I'm doing it, if I was doing engraving, I would put my engraver in there, very fine first, and then increase the pressure. So I'll just emphasize this. You see, I'm putting a shadow underneath. This is what your cut would have done. It would put a little shadow like this. And look at the way that then has jumped out of the page a little bit to compare to this one. And there's no shading at that moment, you see. So if I would start there, and then I put a little bit more of a shadow in here, that makes that, boom, I made a click of my cut. So I'm starting my cut here, and I'm going there. Now the problem is when you're tracing, you follow every one of these around and go around that way. But if you were like we were, we had to cut freely. we didn't trace everything down. We drew with our gravers. So we knew exactly more or less where we were going. So we turned the piece around in the vise, and we would do it this way. So we wouldn't be looking at like this all the time. So we were looking at different angles. So I would be cutting from here, and I would stop there. Then I would come back into this here, you see. So I would have got there, like so. So you're not going all the way round, and you're not following it blindly, shall we say. You know, you've got to transfer down, and you do it blindly. You feel this. You see, you put your graver in here, and you extend the pressure. Now, if it was a pen, you would have turned it round that way, and you would have taken it there and increased the pen nib, and that would have given you these little dark areas, you see. So that's the idea of drawing with, you know what you're aiming for. These are my instructions. Anybody can contradict what you do, but you know, this is what the old school used to do. So this is like a little gap in these leaves that come around the base. And in architectural or monumental three-dimensional types of works, carvings and things like that, this leaf may have gone underneath there. And so you would have had this little gap in here, you see, like that. Well, if you put a little bit of a shadow in there and leave this fine here, you see, look, you've got that little look about it. If it's going to be all cut away, background, well, you will fill that in. So now we're coming on to this, you see. This is the cup, the tulip, or whatever. You visualize something. You're so in your own mind. You can call it whatever you like. So now it's going to grow. And so it's like a plant opening here, and it's got leaves this side, and these leaves are going to go over that side. Not necessarily, you can make them symmetrical going up the center. There's various ways you can do this, you see. So now I will form my leaves here. You notice that I came back there, so but of course I'm drawing it with a pencil. If I'm doing it with a graver, I'm pushing it, you see. So, and I'm pushing it, all right. If you go with hammer and chisel, you're doing it that way, and you're climbing up the plant, you see. So you start at the base here. If you trace it down, I suppose somebody go from the top to the bottom, you go all over the place. But I always feel, and most of us felt, that like these are living plants, and this is the way you constructed it. You started from the ground and went up. So you may do this again, you see, put one of those in there, and you follow this again, or you would do another one like so, and like that. All right, so there you are. So I made that into two little ones, you see. You can do that. You can make these, see, they're going like that, but a little less. Or one of these up here, invert it again. This is another one coming here, and then you come back again. See, S. It's all these curves, snakes here, but they're what make it. Always make your curves. Don't leave them wobbly. Get that neat curve. It goes there. Practice this. Just that curve. You can put your hand on the paper like this. Squeeze your hand. Squeeze. And then you start here maybe, and you'll turn there. And you have it, you see. Or you will come back from the top, and you'll do that. But they're what you need. These are the curves that you need. These are arabesques, rhythmical, you see. So now there we've got this one on this side here. But I'm simplifying this one. Well, I think it's simple, of course. You may be saying it's not as simple as that. It's a practice thing, you see, but you can build. It's a building stage. You see these little curves here. It's no different from that one. Then you're going to go in the other direction, but you're climbing and you're forming these curves, you see, like so. And they're all virtually, even if that goes to there, that's the same size of that. But because I put this extra in here, that would have ended there, you see, if I was doing another one. So they're all based on the same distance apart. And if you know, I'm just going to put something here now. You needn't do this, but this will give a life to the leaf, you see. So I could have put something like that in, as though this was a wider leaf spread out, but it's curved in on itself now, see. So now it's made a cup shape, and then it will come around when you shade it. So it gives just an extra little bit of a interest, and it stops you, you needn't shade so much, see. So these little twists and little things you'll find as you gradually get more practice and more confidence, and you see, never throw your papers away and anything that you had, your mistakes, keep them in a little file. Look at them later on, every now and again, and see how you're improving. If you throw them away, sometimes you don't see how you improve, and you pat yourself on the back when you have. So give yourself something to look at, and as we mentioned before, nobody really does it straight off. So that's how we go. See, this is exactly, again, I'll reiterate this square. So we've got a square here, okay? We've made the square. So that, from my angle, that's a diamond from there. Now I'm going to put that. So we say I've put it there. That's where the base is going. So really, it's like looking at a table mat from the top, and you're going to put a vase on the top here, like, see, like this, you see. See? So now you're putting your vase on. It's a narrow one, but that's what you need in some cases. It's according to the amount of space on the object you want to design. And then you have that again, because if it goes across into squares, again, come through here, that's already formed this leaf, like this one here, you see. So now, because I've told you how to cut these out, I will just here go loopy-loop here, and I will go loopy-loop here, and then I'll do it again. See, rhythm, loopy-loop. It's like an ice skater, really, as you're going back on your skates and coming back, and you're doing these loops. And you can do all this. You can twist it around. You can make this curve up the other way. It could curve up here. It could do all this type of thing if you wanted to, see. And you could do all these various shapes. And you would shade in there. So you might have that. You may want to do one of these type of things, you see. So you don't have to go for that. And then you want to put another one here. And go that way. See, I'm climbing the ladder. Boop. And that's just gone that. But you will see some architectural things, some old Romanesque things where they will keep them short like that. So you're the ones that are going to develop and find it the easiest way, but always look for quality and always take your time. Don't rush and say, oh, you look at your thing. Go back on it, like I've shown you before. If there, I've got a piece of this, which I call blue tack here. It's just something you can get from the stationaries. You can stick things up. It's not chewing gum, but it looks like it. So now I could rub that away, I see, I mentioned this on occasions, but there we go. Now I've got a ghost of this. It's not exactly rubbed out. You see, it's very faint. But now I can go back into that. Don't have to rub any lines out. I can go back and I can form these lines here. I'm correcting them. So you haven't got this Procreate or anything. You've got your notepad here. And it's like one of the young boys was saying he wanted to be an engraver, but he couldn't afford the equipment. How do you work that? Well, when I was first apprentice, we just had a piece of steel that you got for a couple of English shillings in those days. You took it back and then you put it under a flame, over a flame, and it got it straw coloured. That means it's tempering, so you don't lose the point. It wasn't too hard, and that's all we needed. And a block, some people had just a sandbag and a piece of metal, copper, over like the copper plate engravers would. So you don't need all this fancy equipment, really. It's beautiful and it's time saving, and it does help immensely in engraving now, because you don't have to do all this pushing and I'm going to slip and do all that type of thing, but you're still going to master it. And for those that are learners, really, do you want to invest in something that maybe you won't use again? You know, you can try these, because this is what everybody up until fairly recently, which I would say the last 20 years or so, when Don Glaser and Lindsay and all that started developing all these things for worldwide. They're great. They're great. But it showed you that every one of these beautiful artists, engravers of the past, didn't have to buy expensive equipment. I look at somebody's workshop now and I drool over it, you know, drool and drool. It's superb. But you look at mine, it's like a junk heap. My tools look as though they need throwing away, but I can work with them, you see, and I can develop works of art. When I used to inlay, I didn't need all this stuff. I used to get a broken hacksaw blade and just grind it down, and I used to just push under the surface. Now you can see my inlay. That's how I used to do it. So you don't need hammers and lifting up a lot of surface. Anything that keys, I'll hold it in. Well, I'll leave you for now. That's how we do this.